Ever wish you had someone to talk to anytime, anywhere, no matter what you're going through? Meet PsychPAL, your 24/7 AI companion designed to help you process your thoughts, calm your mind, and keep you moving forward. Chat anytime during a panic attack, on a restless night, or just when you need to vent. Prefer talking instead of typing? Try voice journaling. PsychPAL listens, transcribes, and truly understands. You can even upload screenshots of tough conversations, and it'll help you unpack how they made you feel. PsychPAL keeps life organized too. It can add appointments to your calendar, track your mood, and even summarize your sessions for your therapist so you'll never lose progress. Plus, built in crisis resources are always just one click away. It's a privacy first, constantly evolving, made to complement your professional care, not replace it. Ready to try it out? Head over to the link in this episode and use my code Pete at checkout to get 20% off your first month subscription to PsychPAL. PsychPAL, because your mind deserves a companion too.
That's how you want last time. I don't want to be normal, they know I will not die. You can shine in one more just so you can kill my time. All the times that I've sold, still got my pedal through the metal. Told you I'll be a mogul, that's how you want last time. I don't want to be normal, so you can stay inside. That's why they say that you're local, you see this world is mine. I'm not leaving you hope for them time. I'm taking all that load and I will show them one more. So that's how you want last time. I don't know what's so hard, can you get it through your mind?
Welcome to an exciting episode of Pete vs. Anxiety. I have a very special guest today. Holly here has a story that, let me tell you guys, you have to hear. So, Holly, why don't you just lay this thing on him, girl? Because I got to tell you, from reading the notes of this thing, holy crap is what I told her the first minute I met her. Holly, take it away.
Hey, it's nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Yeah, I have a hard story, and my whole life has been stress, has been trying to navigate how to survive. How even when I was younger, when I didn't realize that's what I was doing, and so as a small child, I was molested by my father. I didn't know what that was, so it was just normal for me.
Mm-hmm.
I was at some point threatened if I said something that my mother, she was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis when I was 3, that I would be the cause of her death. So I didn't say anything, but I really didn't know that I needed to. So I didn't understand that it wasn't right, or that it was wrong. And I grew up in this very hostile environment. My mom, as I aged, I realized, oh, well, she was manipulating my father, right? So she's part of it. She was not completely a victim in this, even though I viewed her as one.
Yeah.
So she very much instigated a lot of the arguments, and my father had a rage in him that was so easy to trigger. So I oftentimes would jump in at 4 years old, running to try to save my mom from my father, not realizing that she instigated it, that she, not that she asked for abuse, but
Yeah,
she
nobody
she
does.
did. She pushed those little buttons to create the storm, and it just showed when I started healing, showed part of my healing was having compassion and understanding what these people did, what my parents did, what made them this way, and it's speculation, but I think I'm pretty close as to why they ended up the way they did. Ultimately, at age 12, I finally met a boyfriend. He was very aggressive. We both played softball,
Mm-hmm.
and he was in the same league that I was in. And he would oftentimes get kicked out of games because he was too aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
And so I found out through him that here's this other person that was being abused by his father. He was being beaten every night. His dad was an alcoholic. And so, and then before that, I didn't have a name for what was happening to me. So there's this book. It was this Jehovah's Witness book on maturing in sex. So basically, it was like this little pamphlet, and we were passing it around in 7th grade, and it was my turn to have it. And then I had a name, molestation. I had a name for what was happening to me because at that point, it definitely didn't feel right. But I still didn't know what it was, even through sex ed. And then my parents, if anybody touches you inappropriately, well, they're the ones telling me it. So it's very, like it it didn't click with my brain that, "Oh, you're the one touching me inappropriately."
Yeah.
So, yeah. So he's the first person I ever told because I finally felt safe enough that, hey, this is happening to me. And very quickly, I made a plan to leave. So I ended up running away and to his house, to my boyfriend's house. And then that's when it was really exposed. I also had run away at a sports event after a softball game. My mom wouldn't let me spend the night at my friend's house, and I finally snapped. I was known as the smiley, nice girl, right? So I was known as the shy, very athletic, smiley, nice girl. So
Hmm.
I didn't ever, I had aggression on the field. That was about it. Soccer and softball were my sports, and I was aggressive there, but I wasn't really outside of that. It was sort of an outlet for me. And so I did. I started calling her all these names and I was so angry and I didn't even understand where it came from. But that was, that outburst happened and I just didn't want to be used anymore. And so I made this plan. My mom, instead of removing me from the house when I tell her this, one, she questions it because, of course, I got in trouble for yelling at her and misplaced, really. As a parent, I have 3 children. I'm going to be like, my daughter doesn't usually do that. Where is that coming from? Not, like it was so misplaced for
Yeah.
my character. So, but she didn't question that. She questioned whether or not I was telling the truth. And then it was, well, we'll take you to your grandmother's house. And then, well, you can just stay in the house. Your father gets paid on Wednesday. We just need to wait till we get the money. And it felt such like a transaction. So you're going to risk my safety for 3 more days. And it was so telling later on that she already knew. She already knew. She was already sacrificing me. And it just took me a long time to figure that out. Because I always protected her. I was
Yeah.
protecting her. She wasn't protecting me. And so there was so much therapy I had to go through and navigate that I didn't even know I needed. I thought I was fine. I thought I was fine. And if you back up, my father at I was 7, 8, drowned me in a pool. He killed
Shit.
me. I died.
Holy
So
shit.
I saw myself. I didn't even realize even what happened there until there's a a Christian documentary that came out. It was like I can never remember the name of it. But it talked about people dying and where they went. And so anyways, I was viewing myself
Jesus.
being pulled out of the pool, being like I was above myself, looking down, and then finally I started throwing up water. I was, super fatigued. I came back to life. It was very traumatic. I run to tell my mom that's washing dishes, looking at the pool from the window because the kitchen window faced the pool,
Yeah.
and she yelled at my father, but was I ever protected? No. And the ironic thing is they had put barred, the in the 80s how
Hmm.
you put those bars over your windows to protect. So they were trying to protect me from drowning in the pool. And it always just felt like a prison.
Yeah.
More
Oh, yeah. I
felt
believe it. Oh, I
like I
believe
was
it. The bars on the window had to feel like a prison. It's like what you
a
just said was just the craziest sequence of events I've ever heard in my life. So, Holly, let me ask
yeah,
you really fast though.
yeah.
Later on, were your intimate relationships really weird at first after being, molested by your dad? It had to be a little weird at first because you're like, well, this is not right. This is not what happened to me.
So I was always I'm gonna say no because
Okay.
they started young. I was young. So
Okay.
my first little boyfriend was kindergarten, right?
Yeah.
And so that was my first, technically my first kiss. My first French kiss was third grade. So you can see how like this never, I was never able to separate that they were different.
Yeah.
The only time I started to realize that was when I was 12. So I had a boyfriend and it was picking up because I'm very good at micro cues
Hmm.
because of needing to survive. So I definitely started picking up on my father's interaction with him when he would come by the house. And it felt alarming. Like it felt like my boyfriend wasn't safe, that maybe I wasn't understanding, how, because you're then more sexually charged and active.
Hmm. Hmm.
I definitely noticed a shift there that made me question, what is my father doing to me?
Yeah.
So definitely at 12, I was questioning it.
Yeah.
And
Oh, I
then
believe it.
fortunately that book fell into my lap, or that pamphlet. And then I ran away. Like the minute I knew for a fact and there was a name, I ran.
Yeah, because you
So
understood exactly what it was. So because it explained exactly everything started matching up, and you're like, oh wait, this is what that name for that is what's going on is. So did it make relationships hard though for you though? I mean, just in general, it had to be really tough for you after what you'd experienced, and then you start realizing what had really happened, and you didn't realize a lot of the after effects of everything until you yourself said that you started doing therapy and things. You started realizing that you had a lot more issues you didn't realize. Now, did you start noticing some things before that, like like different things just seemed really odd to you and didn't seem a lot of place or anything like that?
So it was only my father's behavior. As I aged, and maybe I aged out. I don't know.
Yeah,
Obviously he was a pedophile, but was there a cutoff for him? I don't know. But he had stopped me in the hallway and said, "We have to stop doing this." And so that made me start questioning,
yeah.
okay, this, why do we, first off, we,
Yeah, exactly what I'm thinking. Why is it a we thing? There's no we, it was you doing it to me, dad, but okay, yeah.
yeah, yeah, like the we, no, I don't, that never felt right. Like it didn't feel like there was a participation, even though there somewhat was, because at a very young age, I learned how to orgasm. So there was a draw to
Mhm.
orgasm, but like it just, it's not going to make sense to people that haven't experienced it, because it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, because it didn't
It
even make sense
doesn't.
to you because you didn't know what was going on. You're like,
No.
"Okay, there's a sensation going on. I'm not sure what this is," and you're too young to know that kinda stuff, you know what I mean? Like, most of us don't even do sex ed till we're, like, 13, 14, somewhere around there. They start teaching you, like, your different functions, your own bodies, and, young women come women, and men start young boys start coming to young men, and things like that. Different changes happen for both sides of the picture, and it's just I'm so sorry though. Like, thank you for sharing that though. I mean, that's a rough story to even listen to. Like
Yeah.
that's like wow. I had no idea where we were going, but damn, let me tell you what, girl. Holy crap. I am so sorry that you had to go through it, but it seems like you were resilient and bounced back a lot easier than a lot of people do because I know some people have met that have had stories similar where they were molested. Like it was different for them, but I think a lot of them were a little bit older though. So they had a little better understanding what was going on somewhat to a point, but they didn't see like they didn't understand the ripple effects of things, that you have with traumas a lot of times. You don't realize that these sudden urges of rage and things like that are all related because you go back to that moment because the body keeps score. It remembers that feeling. You may not go back to the exact event, but you remember that feeling you had when things were going on and it got weird. So that's why my first question was that because I was curious because, at such a young age, you're not sure what's going on. Like he's trying to be intimate with you and you're just like, I don't know what these weird feelings are. But then when you were intimate later on, I'm sure it had some kind of effect at first. You're like, whoa, this doesn't feel right. I don't like this. Or it gives you that flashback moment to like, you remember the moment, but you don't remember the exact reason why you're feeling that way, you know?
Yeah, so with EMDR, I
Hmm.
have memories even further, but my very first memory was shortly after my mom got diagnosed with MS when I was 3, and my father was asked to help out more because my mom, when she actually went to get diagnosed, like she got Bell's palsy, like her body shut down. So she was unable to care for me the way she had been before. And so he was asked to give me a shower. And so that's my very
Okay.
first memory. And I was angry. I was so angry. And because it was really the first time I was confronted because he was so tall and I was like right there. And so I remember I just, smacked his genitals because they were right there. And it just seemed fun to do.
Yeah, you didn't know. You're like kid.
Uh,
You don't know what's going on. You
it
just see
just
that and you're
seemed
like,
fun to
okay,
do. Yeah.
yeah,
And so, anyways, my dad was a tit for tat person. So then he had an injury. And so he had taken the hand. They were like his fingers, he worked for Alaska Pipelines. And so the pipes had damaged his hands. And so I'll
yeah.
never forget because they were just sort of stuck like that. And he took them and put them inside me
Okay,
and did it back. That alarmed my system for sure. I was angry.
yeah.
Again, I didn't understand what that was.
Hmm. Hmm.
But I ran, told my mom, but then now having children, a 3-year-old trying to describe what happened,
Yeah.
I could see maybe where it was mistranslated because of my language barrier as a 3-year-old, but nothing was done. There was no protectiveness over, oh, that couldn't have happened. That didn't happen. So,
You know,
and
that's a
what,
similar story you get a lot of times, so Holly, not to cut you off, is that a lot of times people in your same situation when they're telling people things like, "Oh no, you're just making things up." That's why there was a child therapist I met that was here in the here in Texas with me actually. Here and I discussed this a slight bit. She was like, "This is why you teach kids at that age like their different body parts, like so they know. So in case of that situation, like what happened to you can describe it. So if the police were to come to you and say, Holly, and imagine you're 3 years old, they're asking, hey, Holly, so would somebody touch you in somewhere? You can identify what that is. Oh, well, listen, they touched me here, or you know what? Like you point to wherever they touch you inappropriately, so you can identify it because you can only ask kids 3 times about it, and after that, you can't ask them anymore. So that's why she recommended that you teach younger kids like just their different parts of their body, just so because it's their body anyways. They're going to learn what it is. Teaching them at a young age, just in case something like that were to happen, is that they can, in case that conversation were to come up, unfortunately, at least they could say something like, "Hey, mom, someone touched me here," and describe whatever genitalia they were touching and whatever area part of the body they were touching, kind of thing. That way, because when they ask you that, they can identify it, because then that's all they need to hear is the kid say it, and it's over. They aren't thinking twice. They're coming to take care of that. The other person's getting picked up.
yeah. And I mean, we have to remember too the time. So
Hmm.
the 80s, CPS wasn't really a big thing.
Yeah.
It was just like in its infancy. There
Good
was
point.
no
Very
social
good point, Holly.
media. There's no way for me to Google or look it up. We had encyclopedias.
Yeah, I
So,
remember those. Yeah.
I mean, it was not what it is today where you have hashtag me too and you have the Epstein files now.
Yeah.
Like there was not this awareness around abuse, especially
Yeah.
sexual abuse. And then even if there was, if you heard about it, it was not talked about. You were told to be quiet. We don't talk about family issues. So if you take the time, it's hard for people in today's world that only know today's world to understand my world. But it was much different. It was much more smaller. It was sheltered. There was not this availability to look up,
Yeah. No, I
people
get
like
you
me
completely.
put in I feel like this. I didn't even realize I was depressed either because that wasn't talked about. There was no awareness really around depression.
Hmm.
But now looking back, there are many times I just felt so alone and so unseen,
Hmm.
unprotected, just devastated, but I didn't understand my feelings.
So, Holly, let me ask you this. This is going to get real serious really quick, though. Did you ever have suicidal thoughts though during that time? Did you ever have those feelings like you were like you just didn't want to be here anymore, kind of things like that too? And you obviously you didn't know what those were at the time because those things weren't talked about a lot.
So, yes, I felt it. So, at a younger age, I wouldn't say suicidal. I didn't know to take my own life,
Yeah.
but I was definitely majorly depressed.
Hmm.
I definitely had an awareness that there's something seriously wrong inside, but I internalized it like there's something wrong with me.
Yeah.
So it more presented like that. And it wasn't until, and I don't think a lot of people talk about this, victims, it's not like it's over when it's over.
It's not.
So it's not at all. And the part that they don't talk about is you were a black sheep, you're blacklisted. And my first therapist was a groomer himself. So the first therapist I go, well, the very first one said she didn't deal with my issues. So the session was cut that moment because it was too much for her. And I thought, well, gosh, I'm really messed up then. The therapist can't even handle it. So then the second one, he actually was in the news and was, doing his own thing with victims, handed me little pills in a baggie. Thank God I didn't take them. Showed me how to please myself, had me
Oh,
watch
shit.
porn. Like it was
Wow.
me in the out the back to go get ice cream without my mom's knowledge. So he was his own set of messed up. So that was my
Jesus.
first
Holly, this
therapist.
story just keeps getting more interesting as we
Yeah,
continue to
that
go.
that was
Jeez.
my first therapist. So that specialized. Of course he did. He specialized with child victims, and now I know why. He was a pedophile himself. So I didn't feel safe until I was older to go get help, really. And the therapy I got obviously was not good as a child. And my mom
Hmm.
really didn't have an urgency to keep me in therapy either.
Hmm.
Um, so but the part that I don't think is really talked about is when you say that, and this was everybody around me. One, it made me feel like everybody was looking at me differently,
Hmm.
but you don't get to go back to your life the way it was. So
Yeah.
I didn't get to go back. The power I had was in sports, but then my mom told all these people that I was molested by my father. So now that power was taken away. I felt this big. I felt like ashamed. I felt like all these people were judging me, and some of them did. Some of them, there's one parent that got to know my father a little bit. He was never really around with my sports, but he was around enough to get to know this guy. And he came and confronted me as a child, telling me that I was a liar.
Wow.
Yeah. So this is the part that I don't think's talked about that much. Victimized, and then we're victimized again because people want to have judgment. It happened. It didn't happen. When it's my life, I lived it. And
Yeah, exactly.
then to be hurt in that way and have to be silenced all over from the people that are supposed to help me, it's
Yeah,
tragic.
I
It's
know. I'm so
tragic.
sorry. It is.
Yeah,
I'm so
because
sorry, Holly. I really am. I'm so sorry you went through all that. That's fucking terrible. Oh my
there's
god.
abuse with that. And so, did I know how to navigate relationships? No, no, I picked the wrong people every time in the beginning because I had to teach myself what was normal. I had to teach myself boundaries. I had to teach myself, like my parents' relationship wasn't healthy. My grandmother, that is really my savior. She's the one and this is more evidence that they knew. She would take me every weekend and then take me to church. So I was out of the house on the weekends. So
Mhm.
I was with her, and that was my saving grace. I was out of it enough and then I was given foundation. I was given stability. I was given God, right? So I learned there was something greater, and there was something greater to live for. And the reason I share my story now is one, I didn't want to die with it, but it can help people. It can help people know that it's okay, that the aftermath is bumpy, it's ugly, it hurts. And even today, people are going to judge me, right? They just are.
Hey,
I know
listen,
it
listen,
because,
listen. Fuck them. They want to judge you. Fuck them. They didn't go through
yeah,
it. I am right behind you, Holly. I am so sorry. You know, anybody at home that's going to judge her, fuck you right now. I'm going to tell you right now. I'm going to tell you straight now. Don't judge this poor woman. She didn't choose what happened to her. You hear the emotion in her voice. She's upset her telling you this fucking story. And if you have the right to judge her, you have no right to say anything at all because she didn't ask for any of these things. She was 3 years old when this shit happened. And Holly, you know what? You're doing something very powerful today by sharing your story with me, especially because, you know, like I'm going to make sure a lot of people hear this story and they understand that, you know, the way you feel. It's like stop victimizing people like yourself that have gone through these things. And it's any situation you really think of that a lot of people are like that, you know, and suicidal and things, but especially yours. Yours is just like a crazy ass situation. For somebody to sit there and blame you for something you didn't choose to happen. It's like, yeah, I wanted to be molested when I was 3 years old. That's really my game plan was from day one. It's like, you know what? I don't get the psyche of people why they seem to think that that's okay to blame someone who didn't choose these things, you know, and all the horrible events that followed all that situation and everything else you've gone through to this point in this story is just this is just insane. Like it's like, you know, yeah, she chose to have all these traumas and all these interesting things happen that, you know, she just decided, you know what, I figured my life would be fucked up. Let's go and do something wild, you know. It's like you didn't ask for these kind of things. And then you're really out here telling people, stop judging these fucking people. Like quit. Like, you know, fuck y'all. That's what I say. That's really my message to everybody out there. It's like anybody that wants to judge Holly right now, fuck you is honestly what I'm gonna say. I don't care if that offends you and offends somebody, but it's the honest truth. It's ridiculous. Don't make this woman feel ashamed for sharing her fucking story and telling you these things because this is horrific. This poor woman is dealing with these things every day of her life and has to continue to deal with this kind of shit. Sorry, Holly.
Yeah.
I just had to get that out there. That's just
That's okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. I
no,
appreciate
definitely.
that a lot, actually. But when you judge people that are trying
Hmm.
to navigate that don't have a foundation and you say, "Oh, we have a choice." We do somewhat, and that's why I chose to get help at a certain point. But I would be re-victimized, which is very common if
Hmm.
you know, if you look at the statistics, very common for somebody in my situation to be re-victimized. One, we don't know safety. So we go out with the wrong guy, we get hurt again. Or
Hmm.
we put ourselves in a situation, we get re-victimized. And that would happen many times for me. So I would be assaulted and be assaulted. And the part that I don't think people truly get with people like me is if you made it through it, we're able to separate ourselves from our bodies so well that it's just another day. It's just another day. Even though it might have been painful, it might have been terrifying, there's a reason why we don't go and get help or tell somebody about it right away
Yeah.
because it was like just another day, just a different man, right? A different body. And so, um, I also view porn differently. A lot of those people are me. They're me. They're people. They are you are not innocently looking at something for enjoyment. You are looking at people oftentimes that are me, that are broken, having sex for your pleasure. And you're contributing by watching it to that. You're contributing to the cycle that just continues. Sure, some might do it for money, but the majority are me. And I was so close. I had a boyfriend that wanted me. I was 19 and he was 33, 34. I mean, he's much older than me. And he suggested, "Oh, you should get into this." And
Yeah.
I really thought about it. I really thought about it because I was like, I thought, well, yeah, I guess I'm made for sex. And thank God I had enough of my grandma and what she taught me to say no. And I didn't do it.
Yeah.
But it made me view all of that so differently because I don't see something that's sexually enticing. I see people. They're people. And so I view it differently. And it's that is really hard for me, actually. Uh that it's so casually just, you know, uh,
Yeah, it's
because
just so
I
readily
just
available, man. There's so many different
yeah,
websites and get the shit out, and then the
yep,
weird shit these people get into. God, dude. I
yeah,
mean, we're not even
yep,
gonna cover the topics. It's just fucking weird.
it's
So,
weird.
so Holly, let me ask you this though. When you're married, right? You said you were married. You have a
Yes,
husband, right? So when you met
yep.
him, did he know what happened, or did you have the conversation with him right away about everything that's happened up to this point? because he had to be a very understanding man for this kind of stuff, take on a lot of this stuff that he's dealing with. He had to be a trooper.
So he's my third marriage out of
Okay.
the three. So the first one was annulled. It lasted 6 months. He ended up not being like I said, you can see the transition of my healing because
Hmm.
he looks like and was somebody that was in prison for
Yeah.
many, many years.
Yeah.
So at a very young age, he did some bad things that I wasn't aware of. And thank God he did them because I was able to then get an annulment
Hmm.
because of that, because he didn't share those things with me. And so I got thankfully out of that quickly. Then
Yeah.
my next marriage, abusive in his own way, but I was picking better people, but damaged people. And so I had my first child with him and I knew once I had my child, we weren't safe. So I was like, okay, I got to get out of this. And my now husband was actually the boy next door. We grew up
Okay.
next to each other. So he was 2 houses down from me and we had back then you played in the streets. We all had the little
Hmm.
neighborhood kids, right? And
Yeah,
so he was
definitely.
part
Yeah.
of that. And so my house was in between two rentals and then his house was right there. And so most of the houses were owned, but there were like these three that were around me that were rentals. And thought that the police were always coming to one of the rentals, but they were coming to my house. And so he was unaware. Nobody really liked my dad.
Yeah.
They were scared of him. He saw the police out in front, but he always thought it was for the one rental to the one side of me. But it wasn't. Somebody was calling because my dad would yell so loud and he'd break things that were important to us. And
Hmm.
so they would call and then I'd have to say, which I really did. I thought I was fine. They would always ask me if something happened to me. Well, no, because my mom was the one, that was, the brunt of whatever was happening. So he was somewhat aware of my family situation, but he was not aware of all that I'd gone through. And I was scared to tell him because it's a lot.
Hmm.
It's a lot. And then with how sexually active I had become in my early 20s, that is a lot to know that you're not number 1, you're not number 2, you're not even number 50.
I think, like, let me touch on that really fast. I think the body
Yeah.
count thing is just bullshit. I think people need to stop fucking worrying about all that. And people are like, oh, I get intimidated. It's like, stop making excuses, bro. Don't make up. If you're not interested in her, don't be interested, in her, bro. The body count's just a number, bro. Like that shit shouldn't even matter. That conversation should never exist between two people because it happened one time with one of my exes, and they were not happy with me at all. They're like, oh, this and I'm like, you asked the question, you want to know the answer, then here's the answer, then you don't like the answer. You know what I mean? There's one side's gonna
Yeah.
get mad at the other, or you're a whore, or this. Bro, that doesn't matter. Who cares?
Yeah.
Like people fixate on the dumbest shit possible. Like my girlfriend now could have a higher body count than I do, and I don't even care. Like she comes with a whole mess of things that and she has BBD. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's a really extreme thing. Like her emotions are like on 1,000 versus mine being 100. So like
Right.
I have to really think about things I say. So just an example, like I get exactly coming into something really complex from his side because you basically fit in the same category she does. Like you had a lot, bringing a lot to the table. And me, I didn't care. Like I understand. Like doing this show, I understand. I hear a lot of things. I see a lot of things. I discuss. So I understood a lot more than she realized. Like I really do a lot of research about what her condition is too, but I can only imagine what happened when he found this out. Like he still obviously married him, so obviously he was understanding of this whole thing, and he was very receptive and very accepting of things, and he didn't judge you for anything that you've gone through, right? I mean, I'm very well. Obviously, you guys are married, so
No, so first off, my mom called because she was meddling that, I mean, she's no longer with us, but like she was had become so dysfunctional. And I think when she found out about that, I became the other woman to her in a different way. And
yeah,
she just slowly was against me. And the more I healed, the more I surpassed her coping mechanisms. So it just made it even worse because again, I was the black sheep but yeah, I had to take care of her because I was the only child. So I had I was it to take care of her. So she had called his mom and told her about, oh,
No.
she was molested. She's been married. She
Wow.
just decided to try to ruin our relationship before it even started.
Yeah.
And my husband and I, we went to catch up and I'm just as friends, really.
Mm-hmm.
And we were both attracted to each other.
Huh?
We saw each other through a different lens. We were little kids. We were for us, right? We weren't these older, made a bunch of mistakes people. We were the little kids that liked each other, even though we didn't we sort of butt heads when we were little, but we still cared about each other. And so our connection was genuine. It
Mm-hmm.
grew very quickly because there was already a built-in trust. And he was the first man that was patient with me. And he still is. He understands because he was part of my therapy. I started therapy, like good therapy, because there's bad therapy. Good therapy started in 2005, right? So that's when it started. And I did AMAC, adults molested as children. I did that for years. I did EMDR for years. And there's good and bad of that. Let me tell you, night and day difference between the two people that I had chosen. And then the therapist I had, a good therapist is not judging you. They're not putting their own judgments on you. They are allowing you to work through your emotions and to figure out that they need to allow you and give you the space to forgive yourself, because that's what therapy is about. It's about you forgiving yourself for the
Mm-hmm.
situations that you could not protect yourself from,
Yeah.
or
You're right.
maybe the things that you did that you might not have had the tools. It's all about forgiveness. It's about you forgiving you. I did that for 15 years,
Yeah.
and he was within that 15 years, and he made sure I had the time. He made sure I went there. He didn't realize in the beginning how broken down I was. I didn't realize how broken down I was. There was some sort of defense mechanism in the beginning where I just thought I was okay. I didn't even realize how bad my story was until later on when I was going through therapy and working through it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I was seriously abused. This is
Like
not
bad
minor.
doesn't even describe it, Holly. Like, holy fuck is how you should describe this story to people. Listen, I got a holy fuck story for you, because
Yeah.
literally where this thing started to where we're now, girl, let me tell you, we took a trip. I'm like, holy fuck, dude. Like, I am very rendered speechless, very little. You were the second guest this season to render me this speechless for this long. Like, I didn't know what to say. I was like, holy shit. Like, I didn't know what words were not coming to me as you're describing this story to me. I'm like, huh? What?
Well,
Holy,
and
like God,
then
girl, I tell you what, Jesus almighty, have you been through a lot?
there's what my mom did
No.
when we moved. She lost, so there was not really medications for MS. So my grandma took her and paid for a holistic center. She was taking vitamins. She
Mhm.
swam in our pool. That was her exercise. So
Mhm.
when my parents got divorced, that was all taken from her. She had to move from a nice home with a pool to a mobile home that my grandma paid for us. And then she couldn't afford the vitamins anymore, right? So she could get some of them, but not all of them. So I was blamed for that. Not even a year after I'm taken out of this abusive situation with my father, which he sent me letters repeatedly. He was of the Baha'i faith. So it was that I was the devil, that there's something wrong with me. He would then roundabout attack my mother and make her seem, like how disgusting she was,
Yeah.
who would want to have sex with her anyways, like things like that were
Wow.
all in these letters.
Jesus.
So a year after that, my mom allows me to date this guy that really I would never let my any of my children's date. He was went to an alternative school for, the kids that misbehave.
Mhm.
Smoked
Mhm.
cigarettes, was 2 years older than me.
Mhm.
But I was attracted to him. I liked him, and my mom allowed me to date him. And so when his parents moved, they moved from San Diego, where we were, to Arizona. I finally broke up with him after it was probably a month, maybe 2 months of long distance, and it just got ridiculous, and we were so
Yeah.
young. And so, and he's the first man I had sex with,
Mhm.
man, boy. And so my mom decided, she set up my room for a high school friend that she was going to, they were going to she was going to stay for a week so that I would have to stay in my mom's room with her. And instead, she flies in on her dime, on money taken away from us, my boyfriend that I'd just broken up with. And then I was in this arranged marriage, I'm going to say, even though we weren't married, that I had to keep quiet. I was isolated from my grandma, isolated from my friends, knew I couldn't join high school events, or, like, I wanted to be part of whatever it's not, whatever, I don't remember what it's called, like the group that gets all
Mhm.
the rallies and stuff together.
Mhm. Yeah.
I had wanted to join that, and I literally went to the door and walked away because I knew people couldn't get close to me because now I had another secret.
Yeah.
And so, even though I cared about my boyfriend and I liked being around him, I did not want to be in this arranged marriage. I did not want to be isolated from my friends and my grandmother. And so for 3 years, my whole time that I, was in high school, I graduated a year early. I was stuck with him, and my mom set it up. She had me go get birth control cities away. So we're in Lakeside, and I had to go to Hillcrest to Planned
Mhm.
Parenthood so it wouldn't show up on my insurance. And then we donate $5, and they would give you basically
Yeah.
free birth control, condoms.
Mhm.
Um and so that's the type of mother I had. Like, that's what she did for me. And I didn't even realize that that was wrong, even though I didn't, I was first revolted. Like, I was so excited to meet my mom's high school friend. And instead, like, my new horror was about to start. And it took me the longest time. My EMDR therapist, she had to tell me, Holly, she was part of it because I still was protecting her. I was
Yeah.
still protecting my mom. And that was the hardest therapy I had to go through, was what she had done to me. Not even my father.
Yeah.
It was her. It was her. And I think that is also something that when you have abusive households, we tend to gravitate to the safer parent, and it's not always recognized that they both weren't safe.
Yeah.
Um, so I want to bring awareness to that because that might be you. And I defended my mother like till my 30s, right? She was mistreating me this whole time, and I still defended her. I defended her actions, and then it's her MS, like that would be thrown out.
Yeah.
So that I didn't get to have my independence. I didn't get to learn how to navigate relationships in a healthy way during that period. I
Yeah.
didn't get to have the friendships because that desperately put me in this bubble and depression that would just be there. And you talked about suicide.
Mhm.
That for sure came up, especially after I had my son. That was, I would say, my first. Well, I attempted to take vitamins when I was 13, like right after we had moved. Not no, I took a bunch of vitamin C. Like, it was never going to do anything to me, but I didn't know that. So that was my
Yeah.
first, like, actual, I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to deal with this, is
Yeah.
what it mainly was. And then it wouldn't really show up again until after I had my son. And that's when I realized I needed help. I need more help because he was born sick. So that whole pregnancy was horrible. And then I was all alone because my first husband just checked out. So there were so many emotions that I didn't even know how to navigate. I knew I needed to protect him, but I also knew I was so messed up. On paper, I looked stable. On paper, I looked like a really good partner. Internally, I was a mess. I was an
Yeah.
absolute mess.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to adult. I didn't know how to take care of other people. I didn't know how to take care of myself.
Yeah.
So, in that, when you come to that point, we could talk about rock bottom, whatever that is, but when you devastate yourself, you have a choice. There's a choice to pick yourself up. It is not hopeless. It's not. You have a choice to do something about it. Like you mentioned, Gabe Monte, The Body Keeps Score. There's so many self-help books there, and those take you so long. It's finding what works for you, going outside in nature, finding your own rhythm, creating your own through Tai Chi. There was an arrowroot exercise I did online, and I realized for the first time, here I'm 39 years old when I do this arrowroot training, and it was the first time I realized I never felt responsible for my own body. Like, I felt everybody else owned my body but me. And so it was the very first time, almost 40 years old, I realized, oh my gosh, I need to take ownership back over my own body. And it might look differently for everybody on how you do that, but if I could urge anybody that's like me or similar to me, and the thing is, I know my story's heavy. It's hard to hear. It's hard, especially to hear for people that have never experienced stuff like this,
Yeah.
because you just want to believe it doesn't exist, but it does. And you're contributing to it by ignoring it.
Hmm.
That's what I have to say about that. You are contributing to it by ignoring it, by not being part of, like, hey, let's change this. Let's change this so that I just watched the documentary with the Boy Scouts. Like, the silence keeps these things going.
Hmm.
It does. It because they're like this system, and they're built on silence. They're
Yeah.
built on fear. So when you don't say anything, you don't do anything, it continues, and it affects so many people. Because a lot of people, I'm lucky. I'm lucky I didn't end up like I'm lucky I had that grandma that took me out of that I didn't end up becoming an abuser myself, that I didn't become them.
Yeah, become the monster they were. Yeah, no, I get you.
Yeah,
And it's awesome that you didn't give into that, and where you're at now is awesome. Sounds like you have a better support system and a better grip on things. So, Holly, as we start getting ready to wrap up this episode, I did want to ask you I've asked you a question. That's all my guests. I'm kind of interested to get your opinion on this one. Okay, you ready for it? If your mental health had a song, what would you say your song would be?
gosh, a
It's a great
mental
question. I'm telling you, because it can
it
answer it any way you
is.
want it to be.
So, the first thing that came to my mind, which makes no sense, but it's A Moment Like This by Kelly Clarkson.
Okay, okay. All right, Kelly
But
Clarkson makes her first appearance in this question range. I mean, there's no wrong
yeah,
answer to it. So whatever song you feel comes right to you. It's like there you
that
go.
was it.
There you
That
go.
was it. So, like, I'm not rationalizing it, but you know what? It's about all the little moments. A moment like this, right, in that song will last a lifetime, right? So, and they do. While I can still cry about everything that has ever happened to me, I can create new moments. I can
Exactly.
create healthier patterns. I can create
Hap-
boundaries.
Happier memories too. To replace those
Happier
terrible.
memories. And there's an exercise that I started a while ago, and it's not about, I would suggest processing emotions first. You don't want to, minimize or not
Yeah.
pretend it didn't happen. But I put myself in my past sometimes when it pops up, and I recreate better memories. So that way I'm not stuck on this happened to me or doom and gloom. I think, okay, you know what? Maybe instead of being drowned in the pool, I'm eating watermelon.
Yeah.
Like, I just, because you know what? They're not here anymore. They're not, like, my father might be alive. I don't know. I haven't had anything to do with him since that time.
Yeah.
I confronted him a few times and that didn't go well either. He threatened to sue me for saying, "Hey, I know what you did to me. You know what? I'm just going to leave you alone. You have a good life.
Right.
You have a good life." But that's the beauty in life, right? And I believe in a higher power, and there's a purpose for your life. As many times as I felt nobody was on my side, that they didn't almost even believe they were better off without me. There is a reason for your life. There is a purpose for your life. And if anything, we can be the bright light to help somebody else, even
Exactly.
when nobody else is wanting us to be here.
Exactly.
You have the choice. God made you, he put you in this earth, and you have a purpose as long as you're here. And don't make that journey short, because I've had my husband and I, we've been together 17 years now. We have two beautiful children together, and I have experienced so much joy that if I had died young, I would have never known it. I would have
Yeah.
only known the tragedies of the world, and we create what we want to see, right? So
Hmm.
if I wake up affirmations, I wake up positive every day, I open my windows, I make my bed. I have these rituals that I do for myself, and they are imperative for me to keep my mental health.
Yeah.
Imperative. So I'd urge anybody to do that as well. So a moment like this, because each moment of your life, it matters, and it is what you make of it.
Yeah. I love it. I absolutely. Holly, and with that being said, we're going to wrap up this episode of Pete for Society. Thank you so much for coming today and sharing that story. You've just made the ranks of the number 3 craziest story ever told on this show, and it's not to say that your story didn't matter. It's that powerful of a story. I feel like people are gonna hear this thing and go, "Holy shit, what wow, wow." And you're still here. You're still doing great things, you know? And for everybody who's not watching this, Holly's actually named as the Healing Hall. So did you wanna plug where they can find you? You know, what's the best place if they wanna reach out and say, "Holly, I heard your story. I think you're amazing. I wanna show some support to you." Where's the best place they can reach you?
So thehealinghall.com, or my email is thehealinghall@gmail.com.
Mhm.
And another part of my story that we didn't get into is I was also diagnosed with MS. So what I do now is I help people take a holistic approach to that, because I got better. Right. So, and I help people navigate. A lot of people that get autoimmune disease, it's attached to emotional traumas. And
Mhm.
so a lot of the people that follow me, that's why they follow me. And then I'm Holly Haig on Facebook. I have a decent following there. And I do reels of things that I've done to make my life better. So
That's awesome.
that's what I do today. And it's sort of my way to give back, right? Like, I finally found my purpose.
That's awesome, Holly. I so much appreciate you coming and sharing that story. That was very powerful. I know it was a very sensitive story. I appreciate you coming and hanging out with us and telling us all that. And just keep doing what you're doing. It's great. I love it, you know, and things like that as well, you know. And I just want to say that you have the full support of me on this show. Anything else you do going forward, make sure you tag me, and I'd love to be a supporter of what you're doing. I think that you know you're not alone out there. People are going to hear this story and feel like they're not the victim anymore. They have somebody that's with them now, and you know, and anybody that wants to pass judgment, that says you something, let me know, because we'll give them a personal shout out here, because I love irritating people. So I'll give them a personal shout out for you. Don't worry, because we don't like those kind of people. And I don't think that you sharing your story, you should be judged by anybody by me coming here and telling them things that you did, because that's hard enough to even share that kind of thing with somebody. To relive that as you're sharing it, it's even rougher. So Holly, thank you so much for being so strong and coming here. I so much appreciate you being here today. I had a great time talking to you. I enjoyed hearing the story, and thank you so much for what you're doing.
Thank you for having me. I
Yeah.
appreciate what you're doing.
Definitely. Thank you so much, guys. And with that being said, we're going to wrap up this episode of Pete for Anxiety. You know where to find me on Pete for Anxiety on Spotify, all the way down to Pandora Radio. I'm on TikTok, all the way down to X. And as I always say, it costs nothing, absolutely, to be kind to somebody. One kind act you can do can save someone's life, or hell, you can make their day. I'm Pete for Anxiety, signing off, saying, don't ask how your day is today. Say, hey, how's your mental health?